with this announcement, I've seen a lot of criticism coming through about this money and where it's being filtered into. The majority of the criticism seems to be around housing and the issue with housing in Muskoka right now. But what would you, I guess, respond to that criticism in what way?
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time on social media the last couple of days talking with people about that. And I think it's important to understand that there is a division of responsibilities amongst governments in Canada, and that one local government can't solve all the problems. And that's why they kind of parse out who does what. And at the local level, at the lower tier, housing isn't something that we take on. That is a district responsibility throughout Muskoka. But what is our responsibility, apart from making sure that we've got a roads network that we're investing into and people can get around, and good planning services? That means we're designing our communities in a productive and responsible way. Is recreation and culture services. Those are two of the really big things that lower tiers are tasked with. And so this is not new news. This is something that we planned for 10 years, that the community has had input in all along the way. And nobody said, stop, you need to be building housing with that money as we went along. It's really just a function of we're at a point in time right now where certainly in Muskoka, we're feeling the housing pinch, and some people are really, really feeling it. And it's not that that's not being addressed. It's just being addressed by district government rather than at the local level. And part of what makes communities thrive in the long run is having these amenities that are public amenities that are open to everyone, regardless of socioeconomic background or abilities or any way you want to classify it. They're there for everyone to use. And if we want to have a safe and healthy community, and one where the social determinants of health, when you look across the broad spectrum, are positive, we need to build things like this. So yes, it's a lot of money. Yes, it's happening, the announcement right at a point in time where some people are really struggling. But the two are somewhat independent from each other in that regard, because we just, again, can't take on all the problems ourselves at the lower tier. That's why we have other levels of government. That's why we're approaching housing from a district perspective. And those problems are real, and those problems need to be worked on right now, right this second. And there are people doing that.
Great. Would it also be fair to say there might be some confusion about how this money is being dealt with? If this money wasn't accepted by you, it wouldn't then suddenly go into housing, right? The government would just find another project elsewhere that's similar to this to put it into.
Well, absolutely. It's not that we get money from the province and it's up to us to decide what we do with it. The money is being provided to us on the condition that we build this facility. And that's the way all government money works. I mean, there are multiple ministries within provincial and federal governments. They all have an allocation of money to them to spend in their budget year. And part of what the Ministry of Infrastructure has decided to invest in 2021 budgets is community centers and recreation facilities. So if we say no to the money, it is going to go to some other community that wants to build a community center. And in fact, there are a number of communities right now receiving money from the same fund that we did to build community facilities, with the recognition that investing in these facilities is just hugely important for the overall long-term health of communities. So yeah, we don't get a choice of where we spend the money. And I guess the logical next question is, well, what about the local money? Well, we wouldn't have spent that on housing either, because again, that's not what we've been asked to do in the way that government is set up. So we would have invested it had we not done this project in maintaining, I guess, the facilities that we had, investing in roads networks, investing in other amenities in our capital plan, which stretches out over 10, 20 years. So I think there's a fundamental need to understand how government delivers services in here, and not to confuse just dollar signs with the issues at hand and how they get dealt with.
One last thing I want to bring up with the criticisms, and I feel like I'm having deja vu with this because I remember this conversation happening before about the Carnegie Library, and the question again is, why don't you just update the library where it is right now rather than building a new one? I know we've had this conversation before. It's been in council, it's been in public session, but again, just asking if you can kind of give an explanation as to why that decision was made.
Sure. So that decision goes back several years, and it was made because we saw a real opportunity to combine facilities, combine traffic together in a new updated facility that was frankly going to offer far, far more opportunity to deliver the very best library service we could to the citizens of Bracebridge and from surrounding communities that will come and use it at a new location rather than the old location. There are, to say, certain limitations with a 113-year-old building is putting it mildly. And even if you added on to that, because the site is small and restrictive, even if we were to kind of, move in different directions and start encroaching on other existing sites connected to it, it would have been a multi-story, inefficient building that just was not going to do what the library board told us that they want to do, and they not want, but need to do and need to have in the future to be a modern library. Libraries have changed unbelievably, as you can imagine, in 113 years, and the services that they offer and the way they provide those services have changed along with it. So this is the very best option for Bracebridge. That building is beautiful and amazing and a huge part of our heritage, one of the cornerstones of our heritage buildings, and we'll find another use for it that respects that as part of our downtown master planning process.
Let's talk about the good news of this, Graydon. This is going to be a multi-facility. We've discussed this before of what's going to be in this, but for people that may not be aware or may have missed this announcement, what can they expect out of this new building?
So multiple components to it. We've talked about the arena. So a new single pad arena is going in, 1,000 seats. And that will be a definite upgrade from an arena that I jokingly say now has load-bearing paint in it. And we'll also be able to someday down the road, whenever it's needed, expand to a second pad on that site. And the design will be made to accommodate that. Also, some community auditorium space for special events and also for helping to run tournaments, because people need tournament space when they're in doing that. The library, which will be significantly larger and again contain components of what a modern library would that you would see in communities that have built in the present and not just dealing with the facility from the past. And then of course the new part is to have a field house, which is a double gymnasium size, which is really malleable and can be used for a lot of different sports. And one of the things that we heard from user groups is all these groups that are in town, all of them want to be able to extend their seasons and not just be limited to when it's nice outside. So whether that's soccer, tennis, baseball, so they can continue to train through the year. Of course, we've got lots of people that play pickleball in the community too, seniors especially, and they want to do that. Space for badminton. It's really going to create a very flexible space. And if it's not a space for sport, it'll also be a space that we can use for things like trade shows or other events, because we've got a space that doesn't have hockey boards in it, and it's pretty flexible in that regard. Outside trails to respect that beautiful natural environment that it's in, fully accessible playground for kids. So this is going to be a real community hub, another community hub for us, because the sportsplexes function in that regard too, but with different components, draw a lot of people together. And I think the community, when they see the final product, will realize these are needs, not wants, certainly, but we've done it in a logical way that's going to last for generations.
So let's talk about the final product, because this is the exciting thing now. The money is there. The project can move forward. Shovels are going in the ground this fall. What are we looking for in terms of full timeline here?
Yeah, so right now we're just in the final stages of getting some approvals done so that Fowler can go in, creating local jobs with a price that came in below budget for us, and a $250,000 donation. They can go in and prep that site. And then we're hiring a general contractor that specializes in these types of builds. So we've pre-qualified some general contractors already to come in after Fowler has done all that prep work, and then start on the building itself. It's going to take the better part of a couple of years to get that up and get it functional. So there's obviously going to be some transition time yet. But as we do that, we'll be excited to share a number of announcements along the way. And we've got another announcement coming up in the near future, I guess is the best way I can tease it, that I think the community is going to be very excited about as well. There's a lot of people in this community that are 100% fully behind this project and want to be part of this project and support it in some pretty meaningful ways. And we'll start to talk about that a little bit.